Okay, I'm gonna read you the story now.
Okay.
The title is The Wedding Planner from Hell.
Uh-oh. That doesn't sound good already.
Yeah, okay. So, I got married in December, and our wedding was really beautiful. However, our wedding planner made the entire process much worse and entirely more stressful than if I had just done the planning myself. Poor guy.
Oh,
Or poor
no.
person. I'm not exaggerating when I say that everything the planner and their team had any involvement in was messed up.
Oh, dear.
I did not expect the day to go perfectly or even cared if there were hiccups. Pretty much everything is fixable. As long as our family and friends were taken care of, comfortable, and having a great time, that's all that mattered. I like this person. This person is a great client.
Yep.
Yeah. Things will go wrong on your wedding day. It's kind of inevitable, and you just kind of have to roll with the punches. Anyway, I'm going to continue the story. Here is a long list of the smaller mess-ups. They did not set up the cocktail hour in any way that resembled what we requested or what was discussed. Cake flavors were not what we ordered. Macarons were not ordered, resulting in random pre-made boxes rather than the flavors and colors we chose. These are small errors. They did not bring frames for the table numbers and bar menus, despite telling me repeatedly that she would. No ladder to hang wall decor, so hundreds of dollars worth of stuff never got used. They forgot the petals for the flower girl, and wanted to pull flowers from each bridesmaid bouquet to make up for it.
Oh, dear.
They put our live jazz band in another part of the venue for cocktail hour, which made them unable to play for the bridal party intros, which was only addressed literally as I walked into the venue at the beginning of a cocktail hour, a few minutes before the end of the ceremony.
Oh, no.
How are these the small errors? I can't.
And there's, oh no, it's a big error because there's multiple small errors.
These are small, apparently. They have a whole paragraph of bigger issues, so just wait.
No.
They had no booked transportation to take me and my husband to the first look photos as planned. No planner that stayed with us to direct the bridal party for photos. We had to figure things out on the fly. Although there are some packages that don't have that, right? Like sometimes the planner doesn't go with you, and usually the photographer takes the lead for that.
But if it was discussed,
yeah, but if it was
it's
discussed,
a different
that's-
story. So
yeah, that's pretty
yeah.
bad. They told the catering staff that they were not to speak to me, and I would never be so rude, and screamed at the catering staff that guests were entering the main reception room when there was no place for them to sit in the cocktail hour area. So those are the small issues so far.
what are the big issues?
Let's go to the big issues. And for the much bigger issues, we paid for a full service package, which was to include full planning and unlimited communication. We were also told that we would get 3 quotes for each of the vendors for us to price, compare, and choose from. Despite those promises, I ended up doing most of the planning myself and had to practically beg for her to complete tasks. Yikes. She never once made sure we were on track with anything else, save the dates, invites, attire, hotel booking, nothing. We signed up with her in February for our wedding in December 22. So, like a year, almost a year.
Wow.
Almost a year? Yeah,
Yeah,
10
almost,
months. 10
almost,
months.
yeah.
Okay. And she did not start lining vendors up until August/September. That
I
is.
feel so bad for this person. That's not good.
And the planner was still booking vendors the week of the wedding.
With vendors, what vendors can still have availability a week before the wedding?
Not
You know?
great ones.
Oh dear.
Okay, let's keep going.
Oh.
Out of all the vendors we used, she found only 4 of them. DJ, florist, caterer, and transportation company. And we did not receive any other quotes. Just 1 quote per type of vendor, and we were basically stuck with them, as it was getting to be too late. Most of my email and texts were ignored, and I was far from blowing up her phone. I even sent a very panicked text and email in July about how there was no progress on the planning, which also went ignored. Ugh, that's the worst. Oh my gosh. The only way I was able to have her focused on anything was scheduling weekly phone calls with her. I scheduled weekly phone calls with her, which set a deadline for her to have answers for the pending items. This was a while ago.
It should
but
be the other way around,
I'm
right?
really hoping that there's an update in this Reddit post that said that she got a refund or something because this is horrible.
Oh, no.
Okay, more on the story. She also failed to communicate with the vendors or provide an accurate timeline for the day. What?
That's the main thing.
That's a main
one of the
thing.
one of the main things,
Yeah.
right? To make that schedule.
horrible. The photographer called me the day before the wedding to ask about the timeline, as the planner failed to communicate with him.
Oh no.
We had a meeting with the DJ 2 days before the wedding, and it was apparent he also had no idea what was going on. The transportation coordinator at the hotel could not get her to pick up the phone or respond to emails to discuss transportation for guests, which was only finally resolved 2 days before the wedding. I can't imagine the amount of stress this person had to go through.
I'm surprised they kept going with that planner.
Yeah, you can
You
fire.
know? Yeah.
If you end up with a nightmare vendor like this and you are dissatisfied with their care for your big day, cut the contract.
Stop paying for the payments.
They're obviously not.
Or cancel the contract somehow.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They're not honoring the
Right,
contract, so
that's
you have
true.
every right to cancel it. I feel like
Yikes.
so. Bring it to a lawyer or something, because this is probably a full service. This is a pretty penny.
Yeah.
And it's like small claims, right? Anyway, so let's continue the story. This is all in addition to huge delays with the caterer and the venue as well. By far the worst part, oh gosh, there's more. By far the worst part was continually failing to accommodate our guests and bridal party members who had special mobility needs.
Oh, that's awful.
She wanted to put the cocktail hour buffet food in a separate part of the venue that required people to climb stairs, which I explained on multiple occasions that we had quite a few people who could not climb stairs, and we would need to either move the food or have 2 identical buffets, one upstairs and one downstairs. That did not happen. I also booked a 25-person shuttle that was accessible and could accommodate 2 wheelchairs. We were to have the shuttle for 8 hours to take the bridal party from the hotel to the venue for pics, to the ceremony, to the venue for the reception, and back to the hotel at the end. Instead, the shuttle only showed up after the ceremony, was not in any way accessible, was a party bus complete with flashing lights, loud music, and I wish I was kidding, a stripper pole in the back.
That's so awful.
One of the bridesmaids had to call up an accessible lift ride, which delayed the ceremony by about 20 minutes. Honestly, 20 minutes isn't even that bad, considering. But this sucks. I still feel for this bride. Anyway, the ceremony was delayed about 20 minutes, which then delayed, of course, everything else and prevented us from getting any group photos at the church. Besides the wedding, we also had my moving out of state, the honeymoon, the holidays, kids to shuffle, and demanding jobs. I wanted to have the wedding planning mostly done at least a couple of months in advance, as I knew how packed everything would be leading up to the wedding and honeymoon. We both have demanding jobs that take an enormous amount of effort to be able to wrap up before we could go on our honeymoon. The unnecessary delays not only caused an enormous amount of stress and frustration leading up to the wedding, but also left me utterly exhausted for the wedding, when all I wanted to do was focus on my now husband and our family and friends. I don't even know what, if anything, to do about any of this, besides vent on Reddit. I haven't emailed the planner or left a review for her. I really hope you did.
Yeah.
And
Leave a review now.
Yes. The planner didn't even reach out to me after the wedding to see how things went. She had another wedding to work that day. The same day? Wait. She had another wedding to work that day. And assigned other team members to be day of coordinators for our wedding.
Yikes.
Okay, all right. Okay. I know that she will continue to ignore me, but I've been upset about it for some time. I'm not upset about the small things, aside from the vast number of small things. Those were not even small things, in my opinion, but whatever. But I am upset that our guests were not treated the way that they should have been, and that I was so exhausted that I couldn't be entirely present for our family and friends as I wanted. The positives of our wedding still far outweighed the negatives, but we still paid a large sum of money to be put through all of this. It was just so stressful that I still haven't looked at the pictures from the wedding. I just don't want to relive all of that. I'm just getting to the point now where I feel I can actually look at the pictures and that I'm getting past how upset I was.
Oh dear, that's so crazy. I wonder if is there any updates on the?
I didn't see any. There's like some comments. I didn't see anything from the OP though, which is sad. I'm really hoping that they could have gotten some sort of refund for that, because that is crazy.
You would just have to take it to a lawyer or something, right? Too.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that when they booked that planner, that there should have been a contract
Yeah,
that was signed,
so.
right?
So.
And if none of those responsibilities by the of the planner were met, then that's a big issue.
That's a breach in
it's
your
a
contract.
Legal. It's a big issue, and I think your money should be refunded somehow.
I agree.
Or I don't know.
That's really sad. But anyway, all that to say is that hiring a planner can be some of the best money that you spend on your wedding, right? It can take away a lot of that stress that is associated typically with weddings, but it can also be a really expensive mistake.
Yeah.
So today we're breaking down exactly what you need to know before you sign anything, so you can prevent something like this from happening to you too. Hello, welcome to Belles and Banter. My name is Joy.
Justine.
And we are professional wedding and event planners based in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And today we are going to be talking about wedding planners. What you need to know before you book one. And our first topic, the first question, do you even need a planner? That's the first thing that you need to consider. You really do need to ask yourself first if you even need a planner. What situations do you think someone needs a planner?
I'm going to say you would need a planner if you have a ginormous wedding.
Oh, yeah.
A ginormous wedding, a multiple day event, or even if you don't have the time to plan your own wedding.
Yeah, I would say.
Oh,
You're a good candidate for a planner if you have a very large guest count. Well,
yeah.
what's your definition of large?
Large
Ginormous.
guest count. Well, on average, wouldn't you say that there's maybe usually 100 to 200 guests?
Yeah,
like,
here where we're from,
a
the
wedding.
average is 120 to 130.
So anything larger than maybe 300,
Yeah.
400, you really have to ask yourself that question
Yeah.
if you consider that as a large number or not.
It's subjective.
It is,
Right? Like,
yeah.
I would consider 100 people a large wedding,
yeah.
whereas somebody might think that that's a small wedding.
Right.
But yeah, I would say that you're a good candidate for a planner. And again, we're not trying to say that you need to have a planner if you have any of these points, but you're a
Yeah.
good candidate if you have a very large guest count, because with more people comes more responsibility, yes, but also more unknowns.
and chaos on the day. You have to have an organized person to organize everybody throughout the entire day. That's lots of people to
Yep.
be, dealing with. I know they're all your guests, but you don't want to focus on doing some of the background planning and also like the timeline and the schedule of the day with that many people surrounding you, and that many people surrounding you, they want to talk to you. They don't want you dealing with the cake vendor is here. Okay, you'll have to meet the cake vendor. They have to set up that table. There's just so many things throughout the day that you shouldn't be taken away from your guests. So.
Yeah. So large guest count, multiple vendors, like Justine just mentioned. If you have 10 different vendors, that's 10 different people pulling you every which way on your wedding day. It's not enjoyable. So if you have a lot of people to contend to communicate with, to coordinate with, that's another good indicator that you might need a planner. Probably need one. Another thing is if you are planning a destination wedding,
Oh, right.
I would say that having a planner at your destination would be very helpful, to have some boots on the ground that can check things out for you, send you photos of the venue, talk the native language. Say if you are getting married somewhere where they don't speak your language, that would be useful as well.
Yeah, they do also have planners that are local within your city or town that will and can travel with you to and from, say, Mexico, if that's where you're getting married. So that's also an option as well. But it'd be beneficial for a planner that's already at the site and know that location and everything.
For
there.
sure.
So
Yeah. Another situation where you might need a planner is if you have a lot of pressure from your family if you anticipate that there might be some tension in family members, if there might be some odd family dynamics, it can be useful to have a third party looking in that can give you unbiased advice about how to handle things, right? Because there's a lot of emotions involved, and if your family members are pressuring you, sometimes having a planner can help with that. And then another thing, what Justine said is, if you and your partner work full time, or more than full time, say you guys are doctors or something, and you have no time to plan your wedding, you are a great candidate for having and hiring a wedding planner, because your time is so precious, and a planner will take all of that stress away from you for planning your big day. Even if you don't work full time, if you just don't have the capacity to plan,
Or time. It's really time.
I don't want to say time. I mean, like, mental load. Because planning, it takes a lot from you. If you feel like that is not your cup of tea, I think that you would make a great candidate for a wedding planner.
Or even if you have children.
Oh, yeah, especially.
I'm a mom now, and I have one child, and I can't even imagine. And I'm not working. I'm currently on maternity leave. And I can't even imagine now, if I were to plan a wedding, if I was getting married, where do I fit that? You know, what time in the day do I do all these things on top of taking care of my kid and also cleaning the house, doing the laundry, so many things that occupies your time. It's time too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Time is precious.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and you maybe might want to do things with your time that are more valuable to you, like spending time with your kid or your loved one.
If you hate planning, that would be, that's a good question for you to ask you.
I'll ask the opposite question. When do you think someone doesn't need a planner?
Well, if you love planning.
Yes, like us.
If you love planning, like for me personally, I really enjoyed that wedding planning process. Yes, I had, how many guests did I have? I think 150? 130, maybe 130. I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
I think Jules' wedding was bigger than yours.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
At 140. So I think you were like
120 or 130 or something.
Still big in my opinion.
It was big in my opinion, but I enjoyed the planning process. So if you are someone that enjoys doing your own thing, then go for it. Just do it early.
Yeah,
like in advance.
All three of us, Jules isn't here today, unfortunately, but all three of us, we didn't have actually, no, Jules did have a planner.
She did.
A
just
coordinator.
for the day of.
Yeah.
The day
That's
of.
true. We'll talk about that in a sec. But the three of us, we have very strong organizational skills. We are also what you would call type A personalities. So for us, we loved the planning process. And yes, it takes time, but it was something that we enjoyed. So we did not hire planners, which is kind of funny that we became planners. Anyway.
Because we enjoy doing it.
Yeah, I guess
we
so.
enjoy doing it for ourselves, and we enjoy doing it for others. So,
yeah. So ask yourself,
when else would you not?
Maybe if you have like a very small wedding.
A small wedding,
Yeah.
for sure. Pretty much the opposites of what we had mentioned,
I suppose. Yeah.
earlier.
If you're having a small, like simple wedding, you might not need a planner, right? Because there's not many people or vendors to coordinate. Your guest count is quite low, so it's not as chaotic on the day of.
Or if you feel, or if you have booked, if you've booked an all-inclusive type venue too, where they have sort of day of coordinators
there's many of
within
those.
the venue. And if you like the planning process leading up to it, but just not want to do anything on the day of your wedding, then that's something that.
So again, ask yourself this. This is the first question you have to ask yourself before you even look at wedding planners in your area is, do you need one? Or do you enjoy that process? And if you do, then maybe you could allocate this little bit of your budget to something else that you value a little bit more, right? So just as a note, a wedding planner is not, unfortunately, we are not fairy godmothers.
No. We're not.
We are not magical beings that will make your wedding day perfect as much as we want to. You know, things are always going to happen. So the primary role of a wedding planner is to help reduce stress for you by taking on all of the cognitive tasks that are involved for a wedding day. But we're not magicians, and there are still some things that you're going to have to do. So temper your expectations a little bit too. There are still going to be some decisions that you're going to have to make, even if you hire a planner. There's still a little bit work on your end, telling your planner what you're envisioning, what you kind of want from your wedding day, because they're not going to be able to pull that out of your brain without you communicating with them. Okay, so yeah. Anyway, that's one thing that I kind of wish clients knew.
We are there to help you make the day go smoothly, as smooth as can be, following the schedule, following the timelines as much as possible. And Joy's right. There will be things that will come up out of the blue, and hopefully the planners can just hide all the background chaos, and hopefully you don't see any of it.
One day we'll do stories from us, all of our chaotic experiences as planners. But maybe not today. But one day we'll give you guys the tea, because we always want tea from you. We'll give you tea this time. Say you have decided, you've taken all of this into consideration, and you've decided, I do want a planner. Okay, so this is our next topic, or next question that you need to ask yourself, is what kind of planner you want to hire. So what types of planners are there generally?
So there are planners that, like I said earlier, they are planners locally, but they can travel with you to and from your wedding destination. But keep in mind, they usually have they have a travel policy of some sort within their contract. There are planners that work within, the all-inclusive resort that you'll be getting married at. These are all for those that are doing travel or destination weddings. And then there are planners, if you're doing a local wedding, where you can book them for full planning or partial planning, or day of coordinating. There's multiple types of services within each wedding planning company, and some planners, they offer just set up and take down, or just day of coordinating. If you don't know any of those items or those services, the full planning pretty much entails you being hands off essentially in the planning, and having the planner do everything for you.
Yeah, so for
booking
full service,
your vendors, finding and researching, the prices and quoting from the vendors. There's so many things for full planning.
Yeah, so full service planners will usually do venue scouting for you. They'll do all the visits. They will talk with all of the vendors. They'll coordinate all that kind of stuff. They'll give you choices, right?
Ultimately, it's still your choice for which vendor you want to pick and choose. Usually, the planners like to give out options in threes. So they'll give you 3 options for cake, 3 options for florists, and all of that. Whereas partial planning is a little bit hands off.
Yeah, so like in the story that we told you about the Redditor, they had hired a full planner. And they said that their planner didn't even give them choices. Partial planning is a little bit different. So full planning service is everything from the initial vendor scouting all the way to the execution of your actual wedding. But for partial planning, they are for maybe people that enjoy most of the planning process, but they chump in
halfway through the planning.
And like kind of just take on the reins of things that you have. They meet you where you are, basically.
I find that a lot of partial planning couples that we get inquiries for anyway are those couples that they do start the initial process of the planning and realize, I got no time for this. So they do book some vendors themselves in the beginning, and they have some sort of planning done in the beginning. But then at the end, most of the couples, they find that they don't have time.
Yeah, they don't have time, or they prefer to have a little bit more structure. Partial planning packages are typically cheaper than full planning services, but they still give you the same kind of like budget management, vendor sourcing if you need any more vendors, design direction if that's something that you add on to your package, timeline building, which is usually the most value for a planner. But yeah, they just jump in halfway. So if you're somebody that is very, very particular about the kind of vendors you want, and you don't even want the 3 choices that your planner is going to give you, you want to go find it yourself, you can do that and then book a partial planning service after. The last kind
The day of coordinating.
Yeah, day of or month of, depending on the planner you choose. They might call it something differently. But this one's actually the most popular one, I think.
It is very popular. Yeah, a lot of couples like to do their own planning,
Yeah.
and a lot of couples have a smaller guest count, so between 100, 150 around there, say. And those couples that book the day of coordinating, it's they want hands off on their wedding day itself. So they want all of the coordinating of vendors on the day of, not for them to deal with and for the planner to deal with.
Yeah.
And what else? Typically the day of coordinators, like they usually, for us anyway, we usually contact the couples a month in advance to kind of get the communication going. Yeah, more than a month.
So yeah, although it says day of,
Yes.
typically
There's still communication beforehand.
starts like 8 weeks.
Right, that's
4
for,
to 8
for
weeks.
us.
Yeah.
But some planners could be different. Maybe some planners are the month before or something. But yeah.
So a month of coordinator, day of coordinator is basically the person that's going to take everything that you've planned, wrap it up in a nice bow, and then give it to you on your wedding day.
Yeah, and then you don't
right?
have to deal with any of
Yeah.
the stress or any of the questions coming from the multiple vendors that day.
So that's the three main types of packages that you'll likely see are full service planning, partial planning, and day of coordination. And depending on your needs, right, you have to ask yourself that. That's the package that you should go for.
Right.
So ask yourself, do you want to be completely hands off? Maybe go for full planning. Do you want to do some of it, but then want somebody else to take over once you have found the ones that you the vendors that you kind of like? Partial planning. Do you want to do everything because you are type A like us and you just want to make sure that nobody is responsible, like none of your family or friends need to lift a finger on your actual wedding? Then maybe a month of a day of is better for you. There's actually also other kinds of packages like setup takedown, like you
Right.
said.
Yeah.
So some people who are very DIY and creative, they could have made lots of decorations or something. Maybe they have specific tablescapes that they have imagined, and a setup takedown planner. They're not really planning anything, but they're just basically they're your boots on the ground. They're the people who are hands-on with your wedding and just doing exactly what you say, basically.
Right.
Your minions, if you want to talk about that.
So these planners are already there for the day, right? So it's usually like an additional add-on, I guess, to the service package that you book. But there are some planners that book only setup and take down if that's something that's all that you need for your wedding day too.
Yeah.
There's also graphic design.
Yes, so
There's
there's
some design services.
Yeah, so you might be able to, if you have a very specific vision and you're just struggling to bring it to life, like you could hire an event designer who will literally make your brainchild reality. So there's lots of different flavors and options that you can look into for wedding planning, but you really just have to ask yourself how involved you want to be in the whole process, how involved you and your partner want to be in your process. And we'll talk about kind of the money aspect of it in a couple minutes here. But yeah, that's the first thing you have to ask yourself is how deep do you want to go into wedding planning? That will determine what kind of packages you should start looking for. Okay, so now, next topic. Let's pretend that you have decided to go forward with a planner, and we always suggest that you interview them, okay? You
for sure.
must interview these planners to prevent any kind of the horror stories, for example, like that Reddit story, from happening. Okay, so what kind of red flags?
Oh, red flags.
Well, I mean, in that story, there was like
There were
10,000.
a lot of red flags, but it was almost unfortunately too late
Yeah, it was
because
too
they were
late.
really deep into it already. But
Yeah.
definitely in the beginning, red flag. If they don't email you back or text you back or phone you back within a reasonable amount of time, I would say, I don't know, in our standards, 2 business days. But if they haven't responded back to you a week later from your inquiry, then they're either not interested in booking with you or they're too busy. They're too busy in their own lives or too busy with their business. You don't want to book with them because how would they have time for your wedding?
Yeah.
I would say that's the biggest
communication,
red flag
for
is the
sure.
communication and
A
just the
planner?
responsiveness.
I like to joke with people that a planner's job is basically wrangling people.
Oh, right. Yeah,
And
wranglers.
dealing with people, right?
Yeah.
And if you can't communicate,
That's a
that's
big...
a bad planner. Like
Yes.
if you find that your planner, and again, be reasonable, right? They're not going to respond in the next hour, right? They're also, they need time too. But 24, 48, maybe even 72 hours, if they don't respond to you in that time,
Yeah.
that's one big
See,
red
I'm
flag.
nice. If they respond within the week, then sure. But next week comes and you haven't responded yet, then and then you check your junk mail, still nothing.
Yeah.
Nope. That's
Yeah.
a big red flag.
I would say even another red flag for me, even before you get to the communication stage, if you're looking at their website, if they have one, if they don't have a website or any kind of social media presence or anything like that where you can look for references and or portfolio work, I would also have a couple, maybe let's call it like a yellow flag, because, they
Yeah.
might be just starting out. They might
Maybe.
not be, like, websites are expensive. They might not be able to afford that quite yet. But if they don't have any kind of social media presence, I know it kind of sounds weird to say social media, but like any kind of presence on the internet where people can find them and or rate them, I'd be a little bit wary right away.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, before you even like go to the contact form to contact them.
Because first of all, why aren't they visible
yeah,
on anything?
I'd be wary. I'd be wary. But again, there are lots of planners that just start out and they might not
I
have
guess.
this yet.
Yeah, that's
but-
true.
So I don't want to say that all of the people who don't have websites are not good, but just be a little bit more careful.
Yeah. I don't know what else there are for
No
red flags.
references, no portfolio. Oh my God.
I guess a red flag too is if you have already moved forward with a planner, then a red flag is for sure when they don't have something for you to sign.
Oh,
Like
a
a
contract,
contract.
yeah.
If they don't have a contract for you to sign detailing out all of what the responsibilities are supposed to be,
Yeah.
then that's a red flag, isn't it? Because how would you
Don't
know?
sign it.
Yes, don't sign it, first off. Well, if there isn't a contract at all, big red flag. But if their contract doesn't have much on there, yeah, don't sign it.
Yeah, like if it's really vague, like it's like
Vague sentences.
yeah,
yes.
vague contract language. I mean, we're not lawyers or anything like
Yeah.
that, but if the contract is pretty vague about what they're supposed to be providing for you, if there's like no clear scope of work that should be
Right.
expected of them,
Like if it just says full planning, wedding.
yeah. 'Cause
And
that
then
can
your
mean-
wedding date and then your names. Ooh.
Yeah. Be a
No
little bit
good.
wary of that. Don't sign it if that
Yeah, don't
happens.
sign it.
Don't sign that. Another thing that you might want to look for, like red flag wise, this is not necessarily required in every city, municipality, but insurance.
Oh, insurance?
Yeah. There are some venues, some places require
Yeah.
your vendors to have insurance. So take a look at that too. Make sure you know. Again, this is not required everywhere. Like in our city, I don't know if it's required.
Right.
But that's something that you could look out for because they're not doing their due diligence, right? And do you want somebody who's not giving it their all to be planning your wedding? Probably not. So yeah, I would say the slow or inconsistent or non-existent communication is a big, big one. The vague contract language with no clear scope of work, that's another big one. If they have no portfolio, references, social media, websites,
Reviews, even.
yeah,
Reviews
like,
online.
I hate to sound like a Yelp reviewer or whatever, but honestly, reviews help a lot.
They do.
Yeah. Say, for example, you did decide to sign that contract, and they start giving you promises that are extreme. I don't know if you know what I mean by that. Like if they start promising you that they'll handle everything but not have like a clear plan on how to. I don't know. I always feel I'm always cynical. I'm a cynical person, I guess. And I'm always wary
Me
of people
too.
that overpromise for me.
Yeah.
I would rather you be real with me than promising me that you'll handle everything universally because that's just not possible. So I guess planners that are unrealistic,
Yeah.
I would say is pretty red flag-y as well. But yeah, anyway, those are some of the things that I feel like you should, when you're interviewing your planner, kind of keep an eye out for. How they speak to you. Are they respectful? Their contract. So, looking at those red flags, what are some questions you must ask?
What
before
are some?
booking?
Well, first off, don't even bother calling them and asking them questions if they have those red flags. That'd be just a waste of your time.
Yeah, true.
Biggest questions before booking the wedding planner. Obviously, if they're available on your wedding date, how many of their staff or team members are they going to have on the day of? Are these the type of questions you're talking about?
Yeah, so that's a good question actually, because like that Reddit poster, for example, said that the planner that they hired was not even present on their wedding day. They just sent different staff.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's a good question to ask. Be like, will you?
Is it going to be you
personally be there, or is it going to be a stranger?
Someone who you've never interacted with over the phone or text or email, right, in the past.
So that would be a good question. Is it going to be you, or is it going to be somebody else?
Yep.
How many weddings?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Do you take per weekend? Like for us, for example, we only take one because we want to give that wedding all of our attention for that weekend.
And two, for us ourselves, we don't want to be completely exhausted by the time we have to do, like, say, a Sunday wedding.
Yeah.
That's not fair to the other couple that's getting married that same weekend, right? So,
but we're a small little
True.
agency, right? Like a big planner agency would have the capacity to do such things.
Right.
So ask them that, and then you can kind of decide from there as well. Other things that you might want to ask: what happens if they're sick? Right? Like if your planner gets sick, it's unavoidable. You can't, like, if your planner gets sick, that they didn't want to get sick, of course not. But you do need to ask them their contingency plan. Like, do they have a secondary planner who's just as good, just as bubbly, just as great as the one that you initially hired?
and see if you can meet them
Yeah.
in advance.
See if you can meet
too.
them in advance as well. I mean, sometimes you get sick and you can't
and you don't
anticipate
know.
it. But
Yeah.
so, for example, where we're from, we have an organization that certifies wedding planners here, and we have the, I guess, clause in our contract that says that we will provide another planner with just as much expertise in the
With
event
the
of sickness.
same certification that we have.
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah.
So check for that when you are interviewing your planner.
The payment.
Yeah.
The payment terms.
That's a good one.
How much are you paying and what dates, or is it all at once? Is it just in the beginning and the end, or whatever the
Check for
terms
plans,
are?
yeah.
Oh, yes.
If they can provide plans, because again, a planner is a pretty big investment.
Yeah.
Especially if you get full service, and it's a big chunk of change. Maybe if you can space it out, it's not going to hurt as much, hurt your wallet as much. So that's a good thing to ask as well.
Oh, and if you have an out-of-town wedding, or if you're doing destination wedding, ask them if they have mileage fees. Do
travel
they have
policy?
travel? Yeah, some sort of travel policy in place.
Yeah, that would be
Most of
good.
these questions are usually answered by the planner sending you their contract to
Yeah.
read and sign anyway. But those are still some questions that are good questions
I
to
would
ask.
agree. Other things that you could ask, kind of more like interview-ish wise, is things like, how do you handle conflict, right? Like, because for vendors,
It's an interview.
there will be conflicts. And again,
Yeah.
you need to interview and listen to their answers very well, because this can tell you a lot about the person that you're going to be spending a lot of time with for the next 10 to 12 to 15 to 24 months, or however long it takes you to plan your wedding. So we would encourage you to listen very well. Take lots of notes.
Ask the tough questions.
Ask the tough questions
Yeah.
before you sign on that dotted line, so you can avoid the horror story that was this Reddit story with their planner. Just so you know as well, from our perspective, the planner's perspective, we're also equally interviewing you, right? Because
It's a two-way street.
it is a two-way
It's a
street.
two-way
It is-
street.
It's a relationship.
So, yeah.
right? And something that I really appreciated from this Reddit poster was how they said they didn't mind if everything was perfect. They didn't care if there were hiccups because they expected it. They just wanted their friends and family to be taken care of, right? So for me, if I'm interviewing, you're interviewing me, but I'm also interviewing you, and you say something like this, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you should hide how you are. But I'm just saying that we're also judging you based on your answers also. Okay,
Yeah.
so be kind is all I'm trying to say. Be kind. This is also another human being that you are dealing with. And this is their likely their livelihood as well. Another thing that you should really consider.
Oh, the vibe.
The vibe.
You gotta
Yeah.
have good vibes.
Good vibes. That is actually, I would say,
vibes with your planner
one of the
on a
most
phone
important
call.
things.
I think so. You're gonna have a relationship with this person for maybe 10 months, like just that Reddit post person there. Could be longer if you book a planner that's well sought after and they book, quite well in advance. You could have this relationship with that person for 2 years,
Yeah,
even.
for sure.
So you have to have good vibes for sure, because if you don't, then what's the point?
Yeah, I agree.
You're just gonna have a miserable time if you don't have good vibes.
Yeah.
Each other.
You're keep in mind as well. Yes, you want good vibes, but you are not hiring a friend.
No.
So your
Yeah.
planner is still a professional, but you need to be able to get along with them, right? Like
Right.
you want to
There's
get
still that
along.
line though.
Yeah.
That line.
Yeah, the chemistry, I guess, the chemistry between you matters. I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah. If it's awkward and if
Yeah.
it's quite silent all the time and there's no talking, that's kind of strange. Yeah.
So I guess what we're trying to say too is trust your gut a little bit when you're interviewing these planners, these potential vendors that you're going to hire. Trust your gut. If you're feeling kind of uncomfortable in the consult, that should be free, by the way, free
Yeah.
consults, that initial interview. If you're feeling kind of uncomfortable, if they're being disrespectful, if they're making comments that, you kind of go, that's weird. Trust that instinct, because that's not magically going to go away in the
No.
10, 12, 15, whatever months that you are going to be planning your wedding. So, yeah, definitely consider the vibes. Talk about the emotional boundaries and expectations. They're almost as important as the logistical side of things as well. So the vibes are important.
Another important thing if there are a lot of special elements to your wedding, or if there's a cultural aspect to it.
yeah.
If that planner that you're interviewing, if they have experience with it in the past or have not had any experience, then that's something that you could ask
Oh,
them
yeah,
about,
for sure.
right? So
Yeah, again, that's why having references or a portfolio is really important, because you can see if they've had experience with something. Like, for example, our niche, it seems to be
Oh, yeah.
Filipino Chinese weddings,
That's
because
true.
that's our family. That's what we know.
that's us.
Yeah, so definitely look into that too.
It's important.
Okay, so that's important. Vibe is important. All of those things that we just talked about are important. But the biggest important thing, guess what?
The cost. Money, money, money.
Budget.
Cost,
I know,
yeah,
I
it's
know.
money.
Every single episode of ours, we're talking about budget, and it's so
Nothing
lame.
is cheap nowadays.
Yeah, we do still have to talk about the reality of your budget, right? And like we've mentioned before, planners are an investment, and you should see them as such. They're not cheap. If they are cheap, I would say that's another
That's
red
a red flag, actually, that we missed.
Yeah, I would say that's another red flag. And it's important that when you are hunting for a wedding planner, that they're quite transparent about their costs, right? If they are kind of being shady, hiding costs, adding on random costs without your knowledge outside of the contract terms, careful. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the planner pricing tiers. But before we start spitting out numbers, I want you to know that these tiers are going to be different wherever you are, listener. Wherever you are, the pricing that we're saying might be totally different. Okay, we're going to be talking numbers in Canadian dollars as well. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so it's region dependent. But
We are in Alberta.
yes,
Just
I'm
a side
in
note.
Alberta. So the three main tiers that we talked about for wedding planning was full planning. In our region, how much do you think it is?
I would
about?
say the starting cost is around 4,000,
yeah,
5,000.
4 is the affordable side.
It depends, because some planners, they actually like to go by percentage of your total
Budget.
wedding budget. And they do that because it depends on your total guest count too. So you just have to kind of I guess, price check.
Yeah. So like
Around.
just if you're making a rough budget right now when you're considering planners, at least budget 5K CAD. Or
Approximately.
if you want a
Yeah.
full service. Okay, this is full
Right.
service. This doesn't include things like setup takedown because
Right.
that's going to add to costs too,
Yes.
or even event design
Yeah.
or anything like that. So at least that much. If you have
Mm-hmm.
a very large wedding, or if you're looking at agencies that are very luxury, they're known for luxury weddings, or they're
Right.
sought after. They can go as high as
$7,000, $8,000,
I've seen
$10,000
$10,000 in our region.
It just
so-
depends.
Yeah. And then if you are planning a destination wedding and you're planning to bring them with you somewhere, you can probably expect even more.
A lot more, yeah.
For a full service planner.
The travel fees,
Yeah.
the accommodation policy.
Yeah. So that's probably the biggest whammy, obviously,
Yeah.
the full service planning. For partial planning, typically it's going to be a little bit more affordable than full planning because you've done some of the work, right? You're trading your time for money. So for us in our region, I think I've seen as low as 1,700, 1,000, like
But it all
2,000.
depends too, because some couples, they only book, say, the venue.
Yeah.
And then they leave everything else.
Yeah, so it's
left
starting
for the
at.
planner. It's a starting
Starting
at.
at,
That's
yeah.
right. We always have to remind ourselves.
Like
that.
if you only booked one vendor and it's like your calligrapher, there's still quite
Right.
a bit of work left.
That's
for the rest of
essentially
your
still
wedding.
full planning.
Yeah.
So it's not really partial planning,
Yes.
but
So
yeah.
you're probably still looking at full planning in that case.
Yeah.
And also take a look because sometimes we've gotten inquiries for partial planning, and in the end, it actually was more cost effective after they started adding all the different add-ons for us for them to book us as full planners, even though they initially asked us to go for partial in the beginning. So you might have to price things out, definitely talk with the people you're interviewing and see what plan works best and what's most cost effective as well. So yeah, anyway, partial planning is obviously going to be slightly less than the full planning, but depending on how far you've gotten in the planning process, it might actually be the same price. So the last main package that you might see is wedding day direction, day of coordinating, month of coordinating. They have a lot of synonyms, but in our region, around how much?
like 1,200?
That's
start-
quite
like a
cheap, yeah.
starting-
Like if for somebody who's still trying to gain experience, you
Yeah.
might be able to get it as low as 1,200. But I would say that you're probably looking to spend probably about $2,000 again, right? So like starting at kind of similar to partial, to be honest, because day of coordinating is very similar to partial.
It is.
Partial planning, and yeah, I would probably allocate about 2,000 Canadian dollars for a day of coordinator. And that, again, that is not including things like setup and takedown, because that's going to add probably around $1,000 or so
Yeah.
more to your cost, especially if you have chair covers.
Oh, yes.
Chair
covers.
or backdrops, those really like heavy hitters in decorations.
Yeah,
So-
most planners, we usually need more hands. We need more hands. We need more people when things like that happen too,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah. So
that's
I know
why the extra cost.
Yeah, I know that these numbers are objectively quite high, right? Thousands of dollars for a planner. But why, if you had to defend planners and their costs, why are planners this expensive?
Well, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of time. Well, first off, if you're, say, doing full planning, a lot of time researching the vendors that the couple wants. So some couples like, say for example, for a florist vendor, some couples want only specific flowers or those florists that have a lot of experience. There's still a lot of time that planners need to take to, first off, contact those vendors,
Yeah.
okay, and then find out current pricing for things, what's changed since the last time we have spoken to so and so vendor. There's just a lot of communication between
Yeah.
all parties.
Yeah, I would
and
say
that takes a lot of time.
I would say yes, you're trading money for time.
It is,
basically, right? It's
essentially.
time now
It
that
is.
you don't have to take to
Yeah.
do any of these things. But also on top of that, you are also purchasing expertise. Right?
Right.
These planners have way more experience than you do planning weddings, right? But these planners kind of they know
The ins and outs.
Yeah, the ins and outs
Yeah.
of the business. They know the good venues from the bad venues. They know the good photographers from the bad ones. They know popular spots to take photos for things. They know approximately the amount of time that it takes from point A to B, or how long ceremonies last, right? So
Yeah.
not only are you buying their time, but you are also buying their expertise,
Experience.
which could actually save you money sometimes, right? They could
Yeah.
prevent you from booking that terrible vendor that you have to book twice because the first one fell through or something like that. So yeah, definitely planners are worth their buck, but they are an investment. So you
Yeah.
really have to think about if you need them or not.
I always think of it as this: planners have gotten married multiple times through other people. So they have had experience, like what Joy said, say, for example, at a specific venue, and they know that venue from the highest floor to the very bottom. Like they know the ins and outs,
Yeah.
essentially.
Cheap planners can cost more later. Would you agree with that?
Well, yes, because first off, why is it so cheap?
Yeah.
There has to be some sort of catch or some sort of fine print that they haven't included in
Yeah.
their service contract that they have initially booked you
Yeah,
for,
I would
right?
be-
So they end
yeah.
up being more expensive later on because, oh, this is an add-on.
Yeah, I would be wary of
oh,
cheap planners.
yeah.
Because usually, and like this is a very, this is an overarching generalization, but cheap planners are usually the ones that have the least experience.
True.
And with less experience, more mistakes can occur. And that can cost you money because, say, this planner, for some reason, forgot to actually book your caterer. Well, now you're scrambling last minute to find a caterer, and anything last minute in a wedding is going to be a premium. So be careful when you are pricing out planners. It might be tempting to go for the cheapest that you can find. And the more years, the more weddings you have under your belt, the less things phase you.
Yep.
We've experienced it all. My goodness. Anyway, just to summarize this episode, some final takeaways. You need to figure out first what level of planning help you need. Do you need nothing at all because you're super type A and organized? Don't hire a planner. Save your money. Are you completely overwhelmed by the idea of wedding planning in general? Do you have a really large guest list? Consider a planner. That can take a lot of the stress away from you. Another thing, read the contract very, very well.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Make sure they have a contract.
Don't get pressured into signing it prematurely. Read that contract like your life depends on it. Okay, that's a little bit dramatic.
Well, don't sign something that you don't completely understand on the contract too, right?
Yeah, so read that contract really, really well. Another takeaway, ask uncomfortable questions.
The tough
Lots
ones.
of them. Yeah. This will not only get you the answers you need so that you're well informed with your decision, but also interview your potential vendor. It'll really help you get to know them. Right? Another takeaway that we want you to walk away with from this episode is to trust your gut.
Yep.
You're often right. If you're getting bad vibes from somebody, if they're slightly putting you off by the way they look at you, you're probably right. Walk away before you go any further and waste any of your time with that person. And the last thing that we want you to remember when you are looking at planners is that your planner is another partner in your wedding, if you want to say. It's another relationship that you have to deal with, and you need to have good chemistry with this person. So choose wisely. Those are the key takeaways we want you to have after this episode. And I wanted to just take a couple minutes before we end off and conclude everything by giving you some myth busting for planners, okay? So, would you agree, true or false? Planners are only for luxury weddings.
Oh, false.
No, there is a myth of that, right? People
Really?
think that planners are only for like the super rich that are
Wow.
planning luxurious things, but no, it's not just for luxury
It's a
weddings.
myth.
It's for anybody who feels like they need the extra support.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a myth. Here's another one. A venue coordinator is the same thing as a planner.
Oh, they are not the same thing. They're different, right?
What are their
Because,
jobs?
well, I mean, venue coordinators, they coordinate the venue. They coordinate just the venue. They don't coordinate your other vendors that are going to be within their venue. They coordinate only their venue staff. That's the main difference, because for planners themselves, we deal with all the other vendors that you have booked. We deal with your wedding party. We deal with your photographer. We deal with
Your
with,
family.
well, lots of things. And the venue coordinator will not do
Yeah.
that.
So if you're booking,
They're different.
Yeah, if you're booking an all-inclusive and they advertise a venue coordinator, it is not the same thing.
And there are some, I
Yeah.
think, all-inclusive venues that they do have a day of coordinator
Yeah.
and they do follow the schedule and the timeline, but to a certain extent.
Yeah, so
too.
just make sure if you see that in wherever you're looking that you clarify.
Ask.
Yeah, clarify with them. My last myth. Planners will take over your wedding.
Oh no, that sounds awful.
Is it a true
Someone
myth?
said that? They won't take over your wedding. It's your
No.
wedding. Like, we won't take over your wedding as if it was like our wedding.
Dispelling this myth. No, we will not take over your wedding. Of course not.
It's your wedding.
Your wedding, and our primary focus again is bringing your vision to life, not ours.
Yes.
Planners, good planners, will not take
Yes.
over your wedding. They will give you options. So, for example, when we give options to our couples, we give them 3, and if they don't like any, we go look again.
We keep going.
That's our job until we find something that you like, not that we like, that you like. So if anybody tells you this, it's a myth. They will not take over your wedding. Okay? So be calm. That brings us to the end of this episode. This is going to be the start of a mini series for all the different vendors that you might book for your wedding. So this is our Before You Book mini series, and this one specifically, obviously, is the Before You Book a Wedding Planner. Our next episode that I have planned is Before You Book a Photographer. So that will be next week's episode. Unless something happens. Then it might be different. I don't know. I plan to do a lot of these for every potential vendor that you book. It's just going to be kind of shorter episodes for that, and then maybe I might mix in a story in there.
The tea.
I like, you guys seem to like the tea, so
Yeah, we do like
I'll
the
do the tea. But anyway, if you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please rate our podcast. It really helps with the algorithm and getting our information out to whoever might need it. If you are listening on YouTube, hello.
Hi.
I'm sorry that you have to deal with us.
Our faces.
Yeah, apologies. But if you are on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe. I know that you're probably tired of hearing that whenever you're watching YouTube videos, but it really does help a small channel like us out. We would love to grow this podcast one day. We're just a baby one right now, but we would love to have more subscribers. We would love to have a community that we could talk to, and you guys can ask us things. You know?
Give us tea.
Yeah.
We like tea.
Please comment. Do you have any takes on the planner situation? Did hiring a planner for your wedding save your sanity anyway? Is there anything that you wish you knew before booking? Like stuff like that. Leave it in the comments. We'd love to hear it. But anyway, thank you. We just wanted to say thank you for
you.
listening to us, and we will see you next Sunday with our next Before You Book installment.
Yay.
Thank you.
Bye.